So, throwback to early 2023, Google drops Bar. It kind of felt like a product they made in a hurry and out of panic, and it was bad. Even some Google employees said it was worse than useless and a pathological liar, telling users to hit rocks, recommending smoking cigarettes during pregnancy, and hallucinated at an insane level. But now I see people praising Gemini 3 like it's the second coming of GPT-4, and its responses actually feel more sharp, coherent, and intelligent. To be honest, by mid-2025 I thought AI had hit a plateau, especially after GPT-5 came out and it didn't live up to Sam Altman's Twitter hype. Come on Sam bro, I even stayed awake late night just to watch the launch live. But Gemini 3 felt much better than any other models. I think if this was another company they would be dead right now. They were able to pull this off because they were Google. They already had everything, massive distribution, their own chips, practically unlimited data, free tools, and one of the best AI teams on the planet, DeepMind. The crazy part is that Google actually had the cheat code for all this way back in 2017. They literally invented the transformer architecture, the same architecture which is the brain inside GPT-5, Cloud, and Gemini itself. But since this was seen as a threat to their own revenue, they let their invention sit in drawer while OpenAI used it to start a revolution. If Google already had the power, the chips, the data, the genius researchers, why were they still behind in 2023 and 2024? It's basically because of these three massive internal roadblocks. The first problem they had, structural inefficiency. So before the changes, Google was actually split into a bunch of separate kingdoms, which are Search, Gmail, Cloud, and YouTube, each with its own leadership and way of doing things. If the AI researchers wanted to implement a change, they often had to navigate politics, approval processes of these different departments. To make it worse, the two elite AI teams, Google Brain and DeepMind, were actually competitors. Instead of teaming up to beat ChatGPT, they were often fighting with each other for resources and bragging rights. It was a mess. Now the second problem they had, for the sake of research, not product. Google AI culture was built around research for the sake of science, which I actually respect, to be honest, very noble. But unfortunately, if you don't, somebody will. Which is why the transformer technology, which is invented years ago, ended up being their own nightmare. So later they shifted their focus on research for productization rather than science. Hundreds of engineers were moved from Search directly into DeepMind, pulling all the brain power into one mission. Now the third problem, bureaucratic chokehold. Google had become painfully slow. Every single AI updates, no matter how small, had to go through a mountain of reviews. They had to pass through layers of legal checks, ethical reviews, safety teams, and approvals. By the time something was ready, competitors were already had shipped like 5 versions of their products. So when they finally panicked and rushed Bard and those early image generator out of the door, it backfired. With no single person clearly in charge, everything got chaotic, and that's how we ended up with those diverse Nazi images. And Bard confidently telling people to put glue on their pizza. The whole thing was a mess. To fix this, they gave DeepMind leadership the authority to make critical decisions without running everything through the entire company. That one change was huge. By giving one team real agency, decisions were made in days instead of months. So these are the top 3 problems they had faced that resulted of them being behind the race despite having all the resources. And now since they have resources, they have massive advantages over other companies. Let's look into it in more details. First, they have chips and infrastructure. Unlike other companies like OpenAI, which relies on NVIDIA's chip to train their models, Google actually have been building their own custom AI chips called TPUs, which are tensor processing units, for over a decade now. They started back in 2013, and at that time it was a huge gamble, but now it's paying off. So basically, NVIDIA's GPUs are general purpose, but these TPUs are made to do one specific thing, which is symmetric multiplication. That's the core math that makes AI think. Even their latest chips called Arvin Wood is significantly powerful than their earlier generations. So Google also has their own cloud infrastructure called Google Cloud, which is the world's 3rd biggest cloud platform. Because they own the chips, the data centers, now they can run AI models that are 50% cheaper than their competitors. That's a huge deal. It's like why companies like Anthropic and Meta are actually starting to flock to Google Cloud. Now the second one, data. AI models live and die by data. So Google has the largest video platform, the biggest search engine, Google Images with the largest image repository, Google Maps which has every location details, Google Books, Android, Chrome, and many more. So basically they have an insane amount of high quality stream of data to feed their models. Now the third one, distribution. Google already owns Chrome, the most used browser on the planet. On the top of that, it controls the biggest search engine in the world. So when you think about it, they didn't need AI distribution. All they had to do was integrate AI directly into their search. This was a massive blow to the competition. Now saying this, OpenAI and Perplexity launched their own browser for AI distribution. This is just one example. Google also has email, Sheets, Cloud, Docs, and many more that are integrated with Gemini. So once you are inside that ecosystem, everything just works better together. And that's why it locks users in their ecosystem. So now, if you zoom out, you will see how this all connects. Better chips make better models bring more customer to the Google Cloud, and more customers mean more data, and more data means even better models. And then Chrome scales it to billions of people instantly. It's a perfect loop. This is what the godfather of AI, Jeffrey Hilton, called Google's decisive advantage. It's not just having smart people, it's having the researchers, the data, and the data centers all working together as a single machine. If this was any other company, I don't think they could have done it. Apple has the phone and users, but they have a massive data and infrastructure gap. In fact, Apple basically admitted it by partnering with Google to let Gemini power their new Siri. On the other hand, Microsoft has the lead in enterprise world with Office, Windows, and Azure, but they have a middleman problem. They're heavily dependent on OpenAI for their models and Nvidia for their chips. So Google is the only one who has the full stack or owns the full stack. That's why they have a huge advantage in the long run. So let's see how 2026 is going to hold up for Google. I think it'll be good. And that's it. If you like this video, you can check out this one, and see you in the next one.